Uh, we got some Michigan news as well. Uh, First, we're gonna bunch these up in the same episode because we forgot about them. So you guys landed five-star quarterback Jadyn Davis.
Oh
I
yeah.
believe I got the name right.
Yep, you did.
What does this mean for Michigan football? Clearly, he's a talented player. He looks, you know,
Good.
yeah, he looks good.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so So what does this mean? Because like my first thoughts were like, I initially get a lot of people asking me as a Michigan State fan, like, "Oh, are you scared?" Blah blah blah, whatever.
Yes.
And naturally, I'm like, okay, well, they said the same thing about JJ McCarthy and Shea Patterson, former five stars. Uh, be scared, but each one, yeah, they're Shea Patterson. I mean, saying good is a stretch. He was like, all right.
Wow. Hate on
Saying
Jay
good was
Patterson.
a stretch, but for considering that he was a five-star, saying good is a stretch. I mean, he's a solid quarterback. Um, Same with JJ. He hasn't been that amazing yet. He's been good, but he hasn't been that amazing. I mean, we just watched him, throw the TCU game by throwing two pick sixes. So
Okay.
like he is talented. He has a lot of raw talent, but there's still a lot of flaws in the game. So I'm not gonna now that you guys got your third five-star initially, I'm like, okay, but I'm not gonna just expect him to be a Bryce Young or a Caleb Williams or some like out of this world star, even though we've seen it in high school. Just because I haven't seen Michigan actually turn their five-star into that, absolute
Mm.
what the mother shit am I facing kind of player yet. So, what are your thoughts as a Michigan fan? And what does this mean?
Well, I'm gonna defend my boys for a second. Shea Patterson, I think he's an overhated
Um,
quarterback. A lot of people do hate on him. I think he's a little overhated. I thought he did well for what he was asked. Obviously, you would like him to be a little bit better, but coming
little.
in, the problem with Shea Patterson was Michigan had come from going to a pro style system. Shea Patterson got acclimated to that, and then we just with Josh Gaddis, who was an awful offensive coordinator in my opinion, uh, we moved to the beat space spread offense, and he did pretty bad under that. Didn't use his legs enough, and ultimately we moved on after he left. Then you got JJ McCarthy. Obviously, you hate on him for some reason. Don't know why.
He's very raw. I've said this many times. He's very raw, especially like you're throwing two pick sixes against a
Yeah,
TCU defense when you have Donovan Edwards in your backfield, like, and one of the best O lines. Like, how much help does he need to not throw two pick sixes in the biggest game of his life?
as much as he did, that did suck. He also did do a lot in
He
that game
did
to
some good,
his
but
chance.
I also want to say it's also partially, you know, when you get the amount of hype and talk, like I literally turn on a Michigan game and I have to hear about his meditation shit every single
Mm,
Saturday. Like
salt.
like all they can do is talk about this kid. And if all you can do is talk about how wonderful this kid is and how great and how amazing and how much of a star this kid is, then I expect to see star when see him on the field, and I
Oh,
don't see star when I see him on the field.
I detect
I
salt.
see I see a player still learning the game. Because you don't throw two pick sixes against the TCU defense. It would have been one thing if it was against Georgia's defense or even Ohio State's defense, but it was against TCU's defense, who gave up 70 points in the championship game.
Well, that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about the future. And Jadyn Davis, I believe he's going to be a good quarterback, and I believe Michigan's class is really coming together. And I'm not one to brag about what are we in April now? April classes, because to me it doesn't matter unless you get all those signings and they're on the field playing for you. But ultimately, I think it speaks volumes to the direction Michigan's program has gone as a whole. Since 21, you had that upward trajectory. You beat Ohio State for the first time. You start to gain some momentum. Jim Harbaugh flirts with the NFL. Crap goes bad with your 23 class. He did it again, which it's surprising, but it just shows the direction and the momentum that the program itself has. And I think that the more that they keep winning, they'll continue to be at this level of where do you think they should be at recruiting? Honestly, this is a pro football program that for a very long time were always title contenders, and for the longer span of what was mid to mid 2000s to mid 2014 when we hired Harbaugh, things were just very very bad for the program. So I really love it. I love that you get a guy that, is fully committed to you, says how much he loves the school, how much he loves the coaches, the program, and is fully committed. And then you get all these other guys that are, just trying to get all these other recruits to come here. I really love the direction of the program, and, that just adds to what has been so far a pretty good class.
Yeah, he is definitely one of those guys who recruits are gonna follow. So
Hmm.
it's definitely a big get for the University of Michigan football program. But as we've seen, they need to follow it up with a really good season, which I mean, really no reason we shouldn't expect them to have a good season this
Agreed.
year. But as we know, you got to follow it up with a good season because these guys nowadays are quick to decommit.
Yes.
So continuing to build on what you guys have been building on these next 2 years. Michigan has something good going, and honestly, Jim Harbaugh would be a fool to leave. I
For real.
but I will say the University of Michigan is foolish for not raising his contract back up again.
I
Uh,
also agree with that. Yeah. Like, what do we? I don't get. So the first thing is like he flirts with the NFL. That's one thing. He does all this bull crap. Then Michigan's like, hey, he's staying. And then he's like, oh, but there's this other contract, and you're just like, oh my god. So that shit never ends. I fully expect that to happen next year because that's just happened every single year. And
like
yeah,
I think
why?
Ryan Day is making like 4.5, and then you got Tuck making like 10 mil. So like I feel like he should at least be getting 5 mil if they don't even want to dish out. But if they really want to dish out, they should be really dishing out. They got money over there.
No kidding.
So, um, but yeah, I want to move on to the other segment of Michigan sports. The basketball program, it was looking atrocious, but they landed Caleb Love from UNC. A lot of Michigan fans were wanting him.
Yeah,
They got him.
we did.
Um, and then you got a couple other transfers in Namari Burnett and Trey Jackson. But of course, the big one is Caleb Love. Where do you think Michigan basketball stands after these three transfers? And do you guys think, you're done in the portal or you got more work to do in the portal?
You know, I look at it like where the program was a week ago versus where it is now. It is in a better spot. Now, will that translate to results? I don't know yet. I really have to look and see how all these pieces fit into uh, a roster and how they fit into a lineup. Who's going to be the guys coming off the bench? Who is going to be the starters? But you're like I said previously in the last time we talked about Michigan, you're already down Jet, Kobe, and most likely 99% Dickinson. Those are your top three scorers, so you have to replace those guys. I would say, as far as portal goes, I think you need to go and get somebody that's a Dickinson-like player. I like Terrence Reed Jr. that we have already, but you're gonna need a guy to come off the bench and do that because Michigan has been, at least as long as Juwan Howard's been there, they've had a center, so they need kind of a guy to hoist that floor. And losing Dickinson hurts. I would personally try to recruit him back, but that probably won't happen. That's just wishful thinking. I think you need maybe one more guy to complete it, and I think you have at least a team that might be able to salvage a season, maybe get to the tournament. It just depends how they play. But ultimately, I really like a lot of the guys we got. We got a power forward and uh, Trey Jackson, Namari Burnett. We got early on before a lot of these guys. And then obviously you get Caleb Love, which was a big piece when North Carolina got him. Didn't really pan out for him there. He comes to Michigan, hopes to turn it around. And if he's a type of player that when he's really really good, he's an elite type player. But he has those games where he's just non-existent, and those are the kind of players that can frustrate you. But I think where the program was at, we could use anything at this point.
Yeah, Caleb Love is definitely going to be big for the University of Michigan. He can be a star. He just got to figure it out. But with Michigan, he's definitely gonna have his chances.
Hmm.
The roster's gotten pretty thin over there with your top three guys gone. Most likely Dickinson's headed to Kentucky, it's starting to sound like. I've seen that him
Yeah.
and their coach have been talking. But I also heard a little bit of rumors about Maryland, which was
Dude,
interesting,
I'd
but
be
it's
so
his
mad.
hometown. It is his hometown.
I know. I
And to
know.
be fair, they did make the tournament last year, so it is still, whether Michigan fans want to say it or not, an upgrade.
Mm,
Um,
I would disagree, but,
I would not, considering you guys lost Kobe and you lost Howard, your
Cons
other two
okay,
best
all the
players.
variables, yeah, considering all the variables right now, it's probably a better place, but god, that sucks.
And I'm not. I actually kind of like what Maryland's been building over there. So,
I hate Maryland.
um, you hate every Big Ten team.
That's a
So
fact. Let it be
I
known.
know. In basketball, the only Big Ten teams I hate are Purdue and Michigan. But I gotta act like I like them for a second. So, um, so but hey, I'm keeping. I'm not saying anything biased right now. I'm
Mhm,
just saying what's true. But yeah, he's definitely can be a playmaker for Michigan. We'll see how he pans out. Sophomore year can be a big jump for a lot of players, especially in college basketball. So it's very well he sees that big jump. As far as where this program stands now compared to this previous year, I still think they're quite a few steps back as Michigan lost three of their bigger playmakers to either the draft or the transfer portal.
mhm.
And really, I see one playmaker added and two depth pieces added. So
Agreed.
you still need another one or two playmakers till really see this team uh, contending to make the tournament and then possibly making a run. We'll have to see how it all pans out. But
Mm,
you need a couple go-to guys, I believe, before I can say okay, they have a chance next year at
yeah.
doing something.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the class kind of rolls out and kind of who else we get if we do get anybody else. But once you see the full roster, I think, and once you start to like piece together who fits where, I think then you can get a more general idea about where they're at still.
For sure, and I don't think they're done yet. I think they're gonna continue to, find pieces to put on this basketball team. Maybe they'll even pull some scholarships. We'll see what happens.
They could do
Uh,
they could do Jace Howard if he coaches some full scholarship there. I'm sure he'd have no issue with money.
yeah. So